wonder would it do me any good? But until I get some money in my pocket, then I guess just have to walk around my neighborhood. And I wanna be good so bad. I wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. I wanna be good so bad. But bad desire's all I've ever had. I wanna take a ride up in the sky, watch the aeroplanes just pass me by. I wanna see a Learjet liner take a dive, just to show all of these people what it means to be alive. And I wanna be good so bad. I wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. I wanna be good so bad. But bad desire's all I've ever had.
Again, thank you so much for inviting me here. I immediately feel at ease and at home among the people. And I can tell just through this idle conversation that this is a circle where I can relax and belong. And that I don't have to put on airs or take a deep breath and reveal myself to you, because this is a safe place. And I felt that as soon as I logged in here and I saw Jess, and then Katie showed up, and that's that's home to me. This is where the heart is, and that's where home is. So thank you for inviting me home again. It is a little funny. This digital thing we have going now is such a game changer and a blessing to my recovery at this point in time. And it's also it's a funny thing to talk into my computer out here in the yard, but here I am. So I'm grateful for that. And on that note, I will qualify myself. I'm an alcoholic and I'm a drug addict, and I've now been walking the road of recovery for twice as long as I was out there using. I came in to recovery 21 years ago now, and I've been following this road. The computer is now telling me my internet's a little unstable, where I'm way up here in the north and I may get lost in a snowstorm or something. Just wave your arms. Am I breaking up a bit?
A little bit. It's not too bad, but I was just messaging you, like, maybe turn your camera off, but I'm not sure if that helps or not. But just a little. It hasn't been bad yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can turn my camera off, and I'll pop back on later so you can remember what I look like. Here we are. Those are my hands, and I'm holding a jalapeno pepper. Anyways, I was saying about this new age of what we're calling pandemic that's showed up for us, and how that's enriched my life, as I now, who are all alone. And so I've struggled in this town to, connect with folks in a meaningful way, in a way that's pushing me to grow. And I've found that by tapping into this great big wide world of recovery that's out in cyberspace, that, there's a whole new blossoming happening for me now 21 years down this crazy road of not picking up a drink or drug to make myself feel different. And that's basically what it comes down to, right? Like I think I came when we got here, Jess was like, well, I want you to start with what it was like in the womb. And I'm like, well, actually, that's exactly where it starts. That's exactly where it starts. I spent, just under 9 months in my mother's womb, and my mom she is an alcoholic. And I believe I picked up some shit there, right? Like I picked up broken spirit. Like I do believe that there was an experience there that when I came into this world, I was sad, and I felt broken. Like my spirit was broken right from the get-go, and I was a sad, quiet little person. And I watched a lot of shit go on, in my childhood, and there wasn't a sense of safety. There wasn't a sense of consistency, or, just wasn't a nice place to be. And so I was sort of sucked up into myself for the first 13 years of my life. And I had a big mistrust of all the adults in my world. My champion was my older sister. She was my voice. She was angry, and she could stand up for us, and she protected us. And I was a mouse, and I absorbed all of the sadness in the whole entire world. And then an amazing thing happened when I was 13. I smoked a joint, and I drank, I don't even remember what it was. I was in an alley somewhere. And the most amazing thing happened, in that I suddenly felt okay. I felt this relief, like a deep sense of being okay for the first time in my life. And that began the treacherous road into addiction, and the development of the active part of this disease that I have come to understand as drug addiction and as alcoholism, and the obsession of my mind, and an inability to get off the ride. It's funny, like being on the sober end of this journey. I really love to hear stories of folks who are coming in, who have it fresh, because it's so important for me to stay armed with the facts about what I'm dealing with here. Like, we all get up in the morning and we get a day, like we get this one fucking day, right? And we have a choice, in each moment we have a choice to lean into the light or to disappear into the dark, right? Do I choose to pick up that next drink or that drug? Being a little ways down the road of recovery, that is a choice for me today. I make that choice in every moment. But where I had journeyed to while I was using was to a point where there actually was no choice, right? It's like driving a really fucking fast car and getting on the highway and not being able, like, you're watching all the exits blow by you, but you can't fucking get off, right? Like, you're just on the highway and you're going faster and faster and faster. And, the only way to get off is to hit the ditch. So yeah, there was no choice there for me at the end. It was increasing. It was, the places were darker, and the situations were getting more and more dire. I had a thing for driving drunk. I did a lot of drunk driving. The other part of the journey into the dark for me, and into the disease, like the development of the disease, was having some knowledge about the fact that I was alcoholic and I was a drug addict. Like, I knew that. I had some family members who were walking the road of recovery, and I knew pretty much actually from the beginning of my drinking and using that I was either gonna end up, being in recovery and getting sober and shit, or I was gonna die. And I spent those 12 years of my life not knowing which I would prefer. And I chased a suicidal ideation well into sobriety. That deep broken spirit and darkness that I came into this world with, it may have been why the drink and the drug was so delicious to me, because it soothed that, right? Like it fixed that. And I think that's why, liquor also goes by the name of spirits. Like we fix broken spirit with spirits. And, for a long while that really worked for me until it stopped working. And, like I said, I knew that I was going to die or I was going to end up getting sober. And for the last maybe 2 years that I was fucking around, I started to develop this witness part of myself. And it was like a little separation in my mind. Like there were two of me inside of me. And the witness part of me was kind of hovering somewhere above my left shoulder, watching the demise of everything. And this little witness part totally freaking knew that I could not pick up drink or drug and put it down again, right? Like it started to understand this, what one of those textbooks calls the phenomenon of craving, that when I ingest drug or alcohol, that, all bets are off, right? Like I will follow that buzz long past the point where it's a buzz, and until, I hit the ditch. At that point was the only way off the ride. It was the only way to get the car off the freaking highway was to hit the ditch. There was no choice there. Once that substance is in my body. So who knows why that happens? I mean, there's some speculation that maybe it's, biological, or I don't know. Who knows? I don't even know if that's so fucking important, actually. Like, who cares? But those are the facts, right? Like, I came into this world with a broken spirit, and I cannot safely ingest mind or mood altering substances. Those things will surely kill me. And that's the knowledge that I gained by living that life. Like it clearly wasn't working for me. So I don't know. I don't know if it's that interesting to get into the nitty gritty of, the dark and sordid places where I ended up. I'm actually, kind of over it. I find it much more interesting, the part about what happened. And, those last few months that I was picking up and ending up in like literally ditches, that witness part of myself got stronger, and it knew, right? It knew what was happening. And, I don't know if that was like split personality or what the heck. But it was a dark and scary freaking time. I think I stopped using on a good day. And I don't really know what happened. It's a while ago now. And, you know, the circumstances weren't all that clear. It was just a moment in time where there was a shift in circumstance inside me. A friend of mine carried me home from a bender, and I woke up the next day and there was sort of a, like, I knew at that point that should I continue without changing anything, that I was going to die. And I mean, that's as clear as I can be about it, really, right? Like, I just knew. I knew that all the, you know, the good luck or the fortune I'd had to, you know, somehow get through all that stupid shit I did. You know, I always seem to come out on top, and I just knew. I knew that weekend. I knew it was over. I knew that that I was going to die. And you know, a few days later, I walked into a room of recovery, and some old fart across the room looked up and saw me and said, "Hey, welcome home." You know, and it was that moment, like when he said that, what I felt in my soul was this sense of relief. And it was as powerful as the relief that I felt when I picked up that first drink at 13. Coming home, right? And it's the same feeling that I get when I come into a room today, right? That I've come home, that this is a safe place to be, that I can completely be myself, that the tools that I need in order to live comfortably in my skin are going to come out of the mouths of the people around the circle. And that's what I felt that day when I got there, was that deep sense of relief and surrender. So I don't know, I kind of tend to think nowadays that that's where the story begins. You know, at that moment, in that place of initial surrender, you know, and that's to say, like, I gave up using substances, and got to figure out that the problem is actually in my mind, right? Like, you remove the drink and the drug and all those things that I was ingesting into myself to make my spirit not feel broken, to make me comfortable with other people, like all that garbage. You know, take that away, and I was still fucked. Like, right? Like, not a functioning human being, still full of darkness and suicidal ideations, and self-hatred and shame and self-loathing, and a whole lot of trouble. So that was not that's not a very nice discovery, you know, when I thought all those years that, oh, it's, you know, when I finally came to terms with that substance was the problem. Yes, substance must be the problem. And then you take the substance away, and it, you know, the realization that maybe the substance had been the solution for all of those years. And that once that was gone, that there was, you know, just me and all my brokenness and shame and faulty thinking. So, you know, that's a long way from here. And I guess that's, you know, where I gotta say, like, man, if you're just arriving at a place where, you know, that you can't keep going forward because it's fucked, then you can't go back because it's fucked, that's a really, really rich place to be, right? Like, when you hit the bottom and the only thing left to do is bend your knees and push off, Like that is a rich, beautiful, totally frightening place to be. And I encourage you. It takes a lot to arrive at that place. And I don't know, I think I'm a bit of a beginner junkie, right? Like I have this this fascination with like always being at the beginning. I am always at the beginning. I always get to start over every day. I get to wake up and start this thing over and make a choice to not pick up a fucking drug or drink. Cool, man. I'm at the beginning because I remember that sense of surrender. And when I do that every day, when I'm at the beginning every day, oh, what a relief, man. Like I don't have to know shit, right? I just get to be a kid among kids. And we get to walk together and we get to, you know, find that sense of purpose in our lives that keeps us moving forward and from getting that back in that fucking crazy substance car and getting back on the highway, right? To fucking drive until you hit the ditch. So yeah, I like the beginning. And, you know, it's not every day that I remember to get up and start over. Like sometimes I drag shit from previous days, but that's, you know, that's today. That's the work. That's the work. So anyways, I'm kind of tripping through time here a bit, but a little bit more about my struggle in sobriety. I kind of fancied myself like a bit of an heir to the throne of recovery, having family members who had gone before and had some time. I figured I could just, you know, put down the drink and the drug, and then everything would just be great. And I wouldn't really have to change anything. I could just show up and not pick up, and it would be all right. And I spent 3 years not drinking or drugging and not changing anything. And nutshell, by the end of that first 3 years of quote unquote sobriety, I was as dry drunk as they get, and I had destroyed every relationship in my life. And that, you know, that was a harsh place to get to realize that actually I have to do some changing. I have to change. I have to heal. You know, that broken spirit became more and more glaring, right? You take away the medication for that, and that becomes, you know, unmanageable. You know, one of the things that, you know, I guess a result of, you know, growing up in the culture that we have, like there's this glorification around romance and, you know, I mean, I was a Disney kid, right? So I kind of grew up with that, like Prince, charming, whatever the fuck. So I kind of, you know, I was completely obsessed with the fact that someday my prince would come and maybe that's what would make me feel better, right? Like maybe once he shows up, then that will fix my broken spirit, right? Like still looking for things outside myself. So, you know, those first many years, I struggled with an obsession around relationship as the solution to my problem, which was me. And I guess this kind of ties in with the work. How are you guys doing out there? Are you still hearing me? I feel like I'm just in this little room like talking to myself. It's okay. Okay, I'm getting some thumbs up. Awesome. So, you know, as a woman, you know, out on dark streets using alcohol and drugs, like I encountered a lot of shit, right? And was victim to sexual abuse a few times, and there were some bad scenarios, right? So there I am. I mean, on top of the damage, there's the damage. And so this obsession with finding true love, from a mind that couldn't tell the difference between love and violence. All these inner twistings really, really clouded my my wellness a lot. And so, that was a big part of healing me. And I guess, as I feel like I'm missing a huge part of this ability to tell this story by not saying I work the steps, man. Like, fuck, that's the recipe, right? Like, this is what was given to me as a script for how to get right with myself and with other people. And I've worked these steps, and I believe in these steps, and I've seen them transform my life and hundreds of other people's lives. So I think I pretty clearly articulated step one for you guys about myself, like, and I found that surrender, like knowing beyond the shadow of a doubt, that I'm an alcoholic, man. Like, I freaking knew that when I was born, really. And then though, those first 3 years of living without alcohol and ruining my own life showed me the unmanageability, my inability to, fucking do anything. So a higher power, like I have a higher power, and I don't like to talk about it. I think that's a pretty personal deal. I used to have really frothy ideas about what the spirit of the universe was, and I had decided what it was capable of and how it was going to perform for me, and when it was going to bring my true love to me, and all that bullshit, right? And I've had to check out my God a number of times, like my idea of what that is. I've had to throw it away because it wasn't big enough. So when I found that spiritual, emotional bottom by ruining my own life at 3.5 years dry, I was deeply suicidal and physically injured and completely mentally, emotionally bankrupt. And at that point, I found a deeper level of surrender. Like, I got that second part of that step one, as it's described in those 12-step programs, right? Like, my life is unmanageable, and really felt the depth of that. And then, that spirit of the universe, or that God, as we refer to it in generic circles, right? Like, that's, just having willingness, I think, is actually what that means to me. Like, I've fucked my life, and I'm willing to have it be different, right? And then, the next thing is, show me how to live. Like, I know that I can't do it, and it's possible to have it be different through this process of surrender. And I want that for myself. I want that, as the 12 steps are described, like that, those first 3 steps are conclusions of the mind. I'm fucked. There's something bigger, and I want that, and that's that beginner mind that I try to reach for on a daily basis, right? And that's great. Like, the problem is there's a whole bunch more work that goes along with that, right? And that's the house cleaning part. You know, they told me that anybody can get sober and stay sober provided they do 3 simple things, and that is to trust God, clean house, and help others. And that cleaning house bit, you know, that's a pretty serious undertaking. I just had the privilege of walking with somebody through that process here recently, and I was so moved by the courage, right, and the tenacity and the willingness to dig deep, right, to look at all those bits of myself, all those little pockets of shame and destruction and ill intent, and, you know, to really start to uncover all those aspects of my being and how I function out there in the world that are completely out of balance with living a happy, useful life. You know, those, through that process of steps 4 and 5, you know, to come to this place where it's like, wow, I can clearly see what my freaking liabilities are, right? Like, I'm out there being an arrogant, lying fuckhead and trying to have things my own way because I am so desperately afraid of losing control and being sad, you know? Like, how incredible to have the opportunity to uncover all the bullshit and be able to see oneself on a piece of paper right there. And I think that's why we go with a friend, you know, like that's not something I could have sat around by myself and done for myself, right? Like it takes a reflection of another human being who can sit in non-judgment and just be there, right? To give us the opportunity to see ourselves clearly. And that's what my sponsor did for me at that time, right? Like, she cleared a space where I was able to get to it on my own. You know, she held up the mirror and she nudged me, but I was able to see myself clearly. You know, and not just the liabilities. Like, there was a lot of, I mean, there was some positive things at that time too. There's maybe a few more today, right? But she pushed me to see those positive traits too. And I walked out of that experience with 2 lists. One was a list of my character defects, and I had a list of character assets. And I walked out into the world, and I started, you know, I kept moving on the steps. And I really got to see myself out there in the world, right? Like, as soon as I knew that it was all coming from me, like my reactions and the situations that were attracted to me were all coming from those 2 lists. You know, I started showing up everywhere. And that gave me the opportunity to really deepen that understanding of myself and continue to surrender to my higher power, those things, right? Because I mean, at the bottom of it all, like, I'm still this freaking broken, crazy person that just wants to feel okay for 5 minutes, right? I want to feel that connection with other people, because when I'm by myself, I'm just out there floating in nothingness, alone, and nothing makes sense, right? You know, it's that very same connection with other people like yourselves who understand what my mission is here, right? Like, to be seen. You know, I think that's what I wanted all along. I think that's why I you know, I think back on all the shit that happened in my life, and it's because I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted to be connected. So to walk out into the world with a list of defects and start to see all the things I do that disconnect me, all those things that I put in between you and me so that I don't connect with you. That's an enriching experience. And then to start to turn my mind towards service, right? And I think that's where that starts to happen, or started to happen for me, because I'm out there, I'm trying to live my life, and I'm showing up everywhere as this crazy person. All my defects are activated, and I'm supposed to start to live this life of service, like take away my difficulties so that I can be useful out there in the world. And this is where the miracle started to happen, or where the dots started to connect, right? Like where my soul started to adhere to something useful. When the perception heals that there's anything out there in my world that is going to fix me, if there's anything out there in the world that is going to make me feel okay, and start to reverse that, right? Like I start to inhabit my own seat, and I start to ask, what can I bring? Like what can I show up with to connect? How can I make this better? How can I help over there? What can I do? Rather than sitting around in my own freaking brokenness and despair, waiting for something to fix, waiting for Prince Charming to come along and make it all better, right? And I think that's where the practice of service started to happen, right? And I didn't want to do it. I would way rather sit around and wait to be fixed. Like if somebody could just fix me, that would be better. But that's not how it works, right? Like I had to get busy. I had to start to walk in the world and heal my perception that there was anything outside myself that was going to make me okay. Oh, thank God for you guys, man. Frick. Because coming from a place of total self-loathing, like deep shame and horribleness towards self, like you guys sat around and you were like, we're going to love you until you can love yourself. Right? And you know what? That saved my life. That non-judgmental, loving space that didn't give a fuck where I was at, right? Like you welcomed me from any state of mind or body that I came to you with. And you showed me what it looks like to show up and say, what can I bring? How can I help? Yeah. So I need a sip of my coffee. I sure can ramble on, eh? That's fun. So then there's this business of fixing the fuck ups. And that's a big deal, right? I really got to see this one super clear, that there's a lot of work to be done on me before I can expect anybody else to forgive me, right? And I got to see that one really clear. I fucked up this situation with my sister really bad, right? This is in early recovery when I was running around trying to make it all good with everybody before I had done any work. And I really, what happened? I was so fucked up. I fucked it up. And I went to my sister and I'm like, oh, sister, I'm so sorry. And she said, you know what, sister, fuck off. Like, I don't want to hear your fucking bullshit. Sorry, whatever. Like, actually, fuck you. And I was really taken aback, because all my life, people had, coming from alcoholism, everybody's like, oh, so sorry, sorry, right? Like, you just accept that shit, man. Like, if somebody's going to give you lip service, sorry, you go, yeah, everything's good. We don't talk about that shit. But she really meant it, right? Like, she told me to F off. And I did. And that's when I went away and I got busy doing this real work, right? And changing and really digging into this process of showing up for myself and getting real about stuff and discarding this garbage, and changing on the inside, right? Sister and I didn't talk for about 2 years. And it was super interesting because the exact same scenario happened in our lives. And we came face to face, actually, in the exact same place we had been 2 years prior with the same scenario. And I looked at her and I went to go say sorry. And she said, shh, don't say it. And I'm like, yeah, but she's like, no, Sarah, like, I can tell that you've changed. You don't have to say it. I can see it. And that, I got it at that point, right? Like, I can't fix relationships with my intellect. I can't know that I should have done that differently and go out there and give it lip service, right? Like, I gotta clean house. I gotta work on the inside to change me and then show up where I'm supposed to show up and demonstrate different behavior. Because it's not about the words that come out of my mouth. I gotta show up and demonstrate. There's been quite a bit of that, but I don't know, life starts to heal, right? Like, for so long, on the early road there, like, it's a roller coaster, man. Like, life's up and downs, and learning how to feel everything and showing up, just freaking getting out of bed some days is near impossible. But we do heal. Like, this thing gets better. And it gets better by doing the work. And it gets better by continuing to get up in the morning and show up, and surrender my day and be at the beginning and learn something new, right? What can I bring? How can I help somebody? How can I clean house a little more? How do I keep this thing current? And no matter what comes, I don't pick up the drug or the drink. Because I know that as soon as I do that, man, I'm back in that dumbass car on the fucking highway, driving too fast and unable to get off. Right? Like, I don't know, I'm a little ways down this road now, right? Like, I got clean and sober in the year 2000. And, it definitely gets better. But every now and again, that crazy idea still shows up, right? It's like, like, maybe it would be all right. Maybe it would be okay. Hey, that looks good. Like, those ideas, they still pop into my mind from time to time, right? And I have to stay armed with the facts. And the facts are that I cannot safely pick up a drink or a drug. Because if I do, and I ingest that shit, I'm going to develop this phenomenon of craving. And basically, that's my death, man. You know, maybe not my physical death right away, but it's certainly my spiritual death. And I don't think it would take too long before I'd be done. So I got to stay armed with the facts. And those crazy ideas can show up anytime. You know, one of the little, what do you call it? Little imagery that I used on myself when I, you know, in my mind, put that skull and crossbones on the bottle, and I put that skull and crossbones on the bag, right? Like it's this knowing that crazy idea can come out of nowhere and take me out. And what I do on a daily basis in recovery is I build a firewall between my crazy idea and the act of picking up that drink or drug, right? Like before I got here, I'd have the crazy idea, and the next thing you know, I'd be waking up in a ditch. And that's how fast it happened, man. And there was no ability to stop that train, right? Like in the car, on the highway, in the ditch, as soon as that crazy idea came along. But what I get to do in recovery is every day I get to make connections and do work that builds this wall between crazy idea and me picking it up. And I get to do that on a daily basis, right? And I'm pretty sure I understand that work continues for the rest of my life, if I so choose. Like I don't think there's ever a free ride here, right? Like I got to work this thing every day. And some days are way nicer than other days. I've had a really good stretch here for a while. You know, but shit happens and life happens. And life, you know, there's been a lot of shit to walk through in recovery, you know, right when things started getting really good for me, you know, a decade ago, I guess. I ended up in a major tragedy, and basically chucked my God out for a couple years, and you know, fucking crawled my way back to feeling all right again. But these are the layers, you know. I get to do that work today. I get to show up for myself no matter what, and deepen this journey and deepen this understanding. And most importantly, I get to be here with others. I get to be connected in ways that I didn't even imagine before, right? Wow, I might have just talked myself out. Let me see. What else can I tell you? I don't know. I think that's a lot of information. I can tell you that I love being sober, and I love being clean, man. I didn't always, but I cherish it. Like I truly believe, like when we get up in the morning and we're clean, that's a gift, right? That's a gift. We get a couple hours in, man. That's a gift. A day is amazing, right? Like that is a gift that is given to us, and it is our job to defend that gift, right? Like shit's going to come along in life and people, because God, people, right? And no matter what, we have to defend the gift. And that's how we do this deal, right? Like it's just today, you know, the days stack and things get easier and some things get harder, but mostly it gets easier. And, you know, that's what I'm doing here 21 years later. I'm just defending the gift. You know, part of it is saying yes, you know, and so I really appreciate being invited say all that, whatever that was. Because that's how I get to defend the gift today, right? Like I wake up and I get an opportunity to show up, and I get to show up for you guys, and ultimately show up for myself. I don't know. Well, did I mention that I'm 5'6"? I'm 5'6". Anyways, I'm really grateful. It was really neat to actually, when COVID happened, my life got way better, because I'm a bit of an introvert and I like to hang out. I don't like to leave my property. And I still get to be connected. And I'd moved to this town 10 years ago. And so all the people from my early recovery, those circles that were so important to that initial part of my recovery, all those people that were there in the beginning, I was suddenly connected to again, right? And then these folks showed up from California, and it changed my recovery, right? Like suddenly there was a gang of kids that I was hanging out with again. And I was like, oh, I feel like, I don't know, some magic happened, right? And suddenly I was connected to the world, and to the people that I'm drawn to. And so like, I am so grateful to be part of the bigger circle again. And I don't think there's an end to that. I think we have something really unlimited here. And it starts by waking up in the morning and asking, show me what to do today, crazy idea or no crazy idea. I'm not going to pick it up. I may have left some loose ends along the way, but I don't know. Anyways, I appreciate you guys listening. Oh, look, so that's like an hour. Anyways, I love you. And I don't know all of you, but I do know you. So please defend the gift. It's a beautiful life. Thanks for letting me share.
Take a walk around the world. I wonder would it do me any good? But until I get some money in my pocket, then I guess just have to walk around my neighborhood. And I wanna be good so bad. I wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. I wanna be good so bad. But bad desire's all I've ever had. I wanna take a ride up in the sky, watch the airplanes just pass me by. I wanna see a Learjet liner take a dive, just to show all of these people what it means to be alive. And I wanna be good so bad. I wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. I wanna be good so bad. But bad desire's all I've ever had. My shadow's getting smaller and smaller, and it's high noon where I stand. My shadow's getting smaller and smaller, and it's high noon where I stand. I wonder would they pay me any mind if I leave this busted city far behind? And I'll take the high road, however far it winds, 'cause peace and love are very, very, very hard to find. And I wanna be good so bad. I wanna be so good, so bad, so bad. Wanna be good so bad. But bad swinging